Welcome to Team Peri's Step Out of Line podcast, featuring co-hosts Peri and Lori Finkelstein. For our podcast, Peri's voice is represented by a communication device, or rather AI technology, to ensure that all can hear and understand her speech. Together, they explore, meet, and share inspirational stories with guests who have made a positive impact in today's world. This podcast resonates with our hope to make this world a better place one step at a time through love, acceptance, and uplifting conversations.
I've kind of always stepped out of line in my life. I don't really like other people's rules. I graduated high school a year early. I was told that I absolutely could not do that, that was not something that people did. I did it anyway. And then I was told that I couldn't be both a manager and a waitress at a restaurant, that I had to choose one path or the other. I didn't like that answer, so I created a hybrid role and I did both, and I was one of the highest paid employees besides the general manager. And then I was told that I couldn't be an entrepreneur, that I needed to take a safe path, that I needed to build my savings, stay home. I grew up Mormon, so I grew up in the household of get married very young, have a family very young, stay safe, do everything you can to set yourself up for success early on in life. And that didn't fit either. I knew I wasn't really ready for kids. I knew maybe kids were never going to be a thing for me. And I really wanted to travel and I really wanted to build a different life than I had ever seen before. So I sold all my stuff, solo traveled the world for a few years, built a business, and now here I am living in New Zealand with my business.
Very out of line of you.
Very out of line.
Very out of line. A lot of times people step out of line and you have some kind of a support system to do so. Did you have any support system? Was your family like, okay, do what you got to do, and your friends, or did you totally go against the grain 100%?
A little bit of both. My friends and family have always said, go do what makes you happy. But then when I hit a road bump, when something does get a little challenging, I get the, see, I told you. See, you should have saved. See, you should have done it this way.
Can you share more about the Mormon culture and how it impacted your life?
Do you still celebrate some of the culture, and how have you changed it so that it fits your lifestyle now?
So growing up Mormon, I would say it gave me a very good sense of community. You already have a community built in no matter where you go in the world because it's established everywhere. So if you move and you call up your church members and you say, hey, I'm moving in, I'll be your new ward member, everyone will come help you move. They're very service forward people, and they're some of the nicest, kindest, most generous people I've ever met in my life. On the flip side, they're also some of the most judgmental people you'll ever meet in your life. So if you're not living up to the Mormon standards, which there are a lot of Mormon standards to uphold, you're outcast very easily and very quickly. The reason I left the church, I left when I was a teenager. Little girls get something called a personal progress book. And it's about when you're 12, right? When you're kind of going through puberty, becoming a woman, all of that. And this book has a bunch of tasks for you to complete. And once you complete those tasks, you become a young woman, you get a necklace. It's very much celebrated. And so I was going to church and my church leader would be like, okay, Hailey, what have you done this week? And I'd be like, oh, I held the door open for an old lady, or oh, I did this, or oh, I did that. And she was like, Hailey, did you read the book? And did you know what you're supposed to do? And then are you doing it? Or are you just telling me random things that you do in your life? And I was like, oh, well, I'm just telling you random things that I do in my life. And she goes, okay, the point is for you to read the book, to know what to do, and then go and do it. And I said, oh, so you're teaching obedience. And she was like, no, that's not what I'm teaching. And I was like, that's exactly what you're teaching. I don't think I should need a book to tell me how to be a good person. I think I should just be a good person at the age of 12. So stepping out of line.
Right.
Maybe that should be part of it. And so I left, but my family stayed. My mom still believes, my mom still practices. I have zero issue with the church. I don't have a vendetta. I just choose to not participate in that way. I don't follow the standards or the rules anymore. I don't think what you wear determines if you're a good person. I don't think what you eat or consume determines if you're a good person. And so I've kind of built my identity of what I think a good person is, and that's what I live by.
I grew up Jewish, still am, in a more stringent background than I am right now, but I evolved over the years. And I'm still living in the same community, but sometimes I don't feel like I'm part of the community. But life happens. I had Peri, things change. It's very hard to do certain things. But I know what it's like to feel like on that outskirts of it, but you still want to be in it, but you still feel very different at times. Kind of like you're floating in like the in between, which I am at the age of 60, still in that stage, wondering when I'm going to come out of my shell. And I'm very happy that Peri did that at like in her 20s. She finally came into her own. How has your experiences growing up and when you started this journey on your own influenced your career that you've chosen now? And how do you pay it forward, everything that you've learned?
In business, I am always the one to share what has and has not worked for me. I am not a big proponent of hustle culture. I don't believe in pushing yourself beyond your limits. I believe in expanding your capacity to do things, which are two very different things. I'm seeing too many female entrepreneurs burn out because they've been taught hustle culture. They've been taught they need to wake up earlier. They need to be more consistent. They need to be more disciplined. And then they're exhausted and they hate their bodies and they hate the food they're eating and they hate the life they've built. But on paper, they look successful. So they don't understand what the disconnect is. And it's because they've built a life based on somebody else's definition of success for themselves. And so that's really what I focus on. And I show people how to step out of line and how to do it a different way because there is no one best path.
Peri recently learned how not to do the hustle culture situation unless she was fully equipped energy-wise to do it. But she's learned to take a step back because she can't handle it any other way. But I think she went through like undergraduate and graduate working until she dropped.
If I got a grade that I didn't like, I wasn't just going to sit there and take it. I always wanted to do better and to be one of the best. I always had to push myself harder because I knew I could, even though it drove my family crazy. That's just how I have always been.
It killed us, but it was good for her. So when she graduated with her MBA, it was kind of a relief, but then she started approaching the nonprofit the same way that she approached everything else, which is full gangbusters. And then she learned to take a step back.
If I have an idea in my mind, I have to do it.
When you're looking at somebody like Peri, I'm pretty much like her, but one of her siblings is not like her at all. He's very chill, nothing bothers him. How do you have, first of all, two people like that in one family, siblings growing up in the same household? And what do you tell somebody who's an overachiever and what do you tell somebody who's an underachiever who just can't get their act together?
Typically when someone is an overachiever, I like to go by the 4 archetypes, which I'm sure you've heard of: fight, flight, fawn, and freeze in terms of like relationships. But there's also fight, flight, fawn, and freeze in terms of business and your nervous system. So I would consider Peri a fight archetype. You are willing to fight and keep going until you get the result that you want. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that unless you get to the point where everything is a fight and you can't turn off. You're literally tossing and turning at night. You're waking up with ideas. You can't relax. That's when you've taken the energy too far. But what I would say is you need to find a way to make rest feel productive without actually being productive. You have to make rest a game. You have to make rest part of the system of producing what you want to produce, knowing that if I don't get a full night's sleep, I won't be able to show up for the podcast or to send the emails or to show up the way that I want to. So rest now becomes a mandatory part of the process to get what you want in life. And then for somebody who's an underachiever, it's typically a fear that's making them underachieve. The fear of being seen and failing, the fear of rejection, and the fear of their comfort zone. So let's say they're living a very cushy life. They have very little responsibilities in the household. Nobody's really challenging them. Some people don't have the internal drive that fight archetypes have. Fight archetypes want to see what they can do. They want to challenge themselves. They want to push the limits of what's possible and what's capable. Whereas those who are comfortable being comfortable will always find the best way to stay comfortable. If that's leaning on friends and family who are willing to overgive, if that's doing the bare minimum at work to make the bare minimum to meet their needs, they're typically homebodies, and it's finding what motivates them and what excites them beyond the pressure to perform. Because if they feel like they have to perform, then they won't want to do it. You have to find what excites them.
My sister was always studying and she wanted to be a doctor, which she became. I felt like I never could compete with that. I didn't have the brain power to sit. I couldn't focus enough to do that. So I said, well, I'm going to do something totally opposite, which is what I did. Knowing I was doing the opposite and I knew I didn't care. I just didn't want to be on that same plane because I wouldn't be successful. And then eventually I found my way.
So you currently live in New Zealand. You seem like a very adventurous person. Is there anywhere else you've been to? Do you have a favorite place?
I built my business before I started traveling. So I had about $40,000 saved up. I worked in restaurants for over a decade. I was out of school, graduated, had started my business, and then solo traveled. I did Malta, North Macedonia, Croatia, the UK, Costa Rica, and now I've been in New Zealand and Australia. So I lived in New Zealand off and on for the last 2 years. I'm here permanently now. But Croatia has always had a special place in my heart. I really loved Croatia. There's a bunch of islands. I'm very much an island girl, love the island lifestyle. And Croatia was just beautiful, amazing food. That was probably my favorite place.
And you can do your business anywhere. If you could tell us more about how you get clients and what your work has done, how you see the effects of it in somebody's life.
I kind of started my business with the idea that I wanted as little communication with my clients as possible because I was going to be traveling in time zones and all of that. I didn't want to have to juggle too many calls, too many schedules. And so I built a bookkeeping business because I don't need very much communication with my clients. I love money. I've always been good with money. And so bookkeeping was just right up my alley. But what ended up happening is I went from a culture of restaurants where I was constantly meeting new people, constantly talking, to an environment where I was solo traveling and I had zero communication with my clients. So I got very lonely very quickly. But in that, and building the bookkeeping business, the clients that I was talking to, even though I understand the bookkeeping numbers, I understand there are slow seasons in business, I understand what growth looks like, sometimes it takes money to make money, I can explain all of that to my clients. But if they have a story of scarcity and hustle that they've been running since childhood, either how they saw their parents view money or how money has just shown up in their own lives throughout their career, no matter what I told them, even though I had physical data, physical evidence, they didn't believe what I was saying. They believed they needed to hustle harder, do more, keep pushing. And so I was like, that's so interesting. What's going on? And I realized your nervous system plays a huge role in how you make money and how you view money. And if you're a fight archetype, you want as much as you can make. You want to see how quickly, how fast you can make as much as you possibly can. But that off switch doesn't happen because once you've hit a peak, you want to hit another peak and you want to hit another peak. Whereas for someone who's fawn or flight, they get very nervous with a certain amount of money because they don't know if they want to hold it. They want the identity of the money, but they don't want the responsibility of the money. And so it's going through those stories in your nervous system because we hold tension. So for some people, when they go to spend money or when they go to ask for money, their body physically reacts by them holding their breath, by getting really tense, their shoulders hike up, or they feel the need to walk around or move, they need to fidget. And so this is energy and tension in your body. So
I feel that right now just listening to you. Do you? Yeah. Very nervous.
I'm crazy.
Yes, just listening to you. I'm like, oh my God, that's me.
No one talks about the tension that money creates in your body. And so it's funny when I meet people and they ask me what I do, I say I'm a bookkeeper. I cannot tell you, ladies, how many times I've had people laugh in my face and they're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am. And they're like, you are unlike any accountant or bookkeeper I have ever met. Like, you're so bubbly, you're so friendly, like, you're not geeky, you don't seem super analytical. And I'm like, that's because I don't think numbers need to be. And too many people believe that numbers control our world, that your worth is determined by the number in your bank account. And I want to show that even if the number isn't what you think it should be, look at all of the other areas in your life where you feel abundant and where you feel that you have accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. Because if you're only focused on the number in your bank account, you're missing out on all the other joys in life. And all of these other joys are what's going to ultimately increase your revenue.
So working as a nonprofit, it's not about the money because I'm on the board. We don't get a salary. We don't get paid.
It's measured based on impact.
But her happiness has always been of what she can accomplish and what she can do. You're looking at somebody who is not driven by money, but is driven by the impact in everything that she does.
And money is just a tool. You mentioned that you found a way to sort of slow down and make sure that you're taking care of your energy. What is your favorite way to slow down and remind yourself that you have done enough?
I have many ways, but usually I read a book, typically historical fiction and romance books. I also watch movies and TV shows to take my mind off things, as well as, when I have time, paint with watercolors, which helps to calm my nerves.
But she always has to announce that she's doing it.
Well, otherwise people bother me.
She says, okay, I'm going to read now. I hope that's okay. I feel bad. Okay, no, I'm going to do it.
The other thing is that I live with my parents, and they are also my caregivers. So I need time to myself. So if I announce that I'm going to read my book or do something, hopefully they will leave me alone and leave the room.
Like I announce I have to go to the bathroom an hour before. I have to go to the bathroom, I'm going, but I'll do one more thing. So I feel like I have to announce it because it's taking a minute to myself, even though the dog will probably be with me anyway. And people who don't do that make me ill. Like my husband doesn't announce it. He'll just sit there and watch TV for hours sometimes. And we look at him like in total disgust. You wake up and you set goals for yourself every day. People who don't do that, I don't understand how you live. What does that say about us? We're a little OCD and we're a little too much and we never can relax. If we have to go on a 2-week vacation, it takes about 5 days before we get the New York out of us.
It's because you're in a new environment. You want to make sure you're safe. You want to make sure you understand it. You want to make sure you get the most out of it. It totally makes sense. And instead of like shaming yourself and being like, why am I like this? Lean into it and be like, I can't wait to see as much as I can see in the first day. And then I hope I crash on day 2. Like lean into the excitement of your energy and why you do what you do. I'm the same as you ladies. Some people, they can go on vacation and they are from day 1 laying by the pool, don't want to do anything else. They know that that's where they're going to be the whole time. I need to see it all. I need to walk the hotel. I need to know where all the restaurants are. I need to know if I want to play ping pong, where's the ping pong table? Like, I need to know where everything is. And then once I feel safe, once I feel centered, then I'm like, okay, now I can relax. I need to see it first. And I know that about myself. And so I make it a game. Like, what can I find in the first 2 hours of me being here? And then it's a game, it's exciting, and then once I've found something cool, I'm like, oh, okay, accomplished. I did it. I found something cool.
It seems like we need to embrace our goal-setting mindset and look at it in a positive light as opposed to negatively that we're just too much, even though we really know that we're too much.
But you're not. You're not for each other. You might be too much for, as you said, your husband watches a lot of TV. Right. For somebody who likes to relax and
we're
likes
too much for him.
We're unnecessary. Like a restaurant. Like if everybody wanted to be a chef, nobody would be a bartender and nobody would be a waitress and then nobody would get their food. Like we all need to be able to work together. We all need to understand that every person is necessary in the ecosystem. The host doesn't move much. She stands there, she takes people's name. You might not think that her job's very important, but if she doesn't keep things organized, just because she's not moving doesn't mean she's not important. And waitresses and waiters, they walk a lot. And so they might think that they're the most important, but the whole system falls apart if one person isn't able to do their role. So your lady's role is to be too much. It's to do more. It's to see more. It's to experience more. And maybe your husband's role is to calm you guys down and to be like, hey, let's sit down and watch a movie together. His role is something else, and that's okay.
Everything you ever needed to know about life, you learned when you were waitressing and managing at the same time.
I was in restaurants for over a decade, and I've done every position. I've been host, I've been waitress, I've been bartender, I've been manager, I've been busser, I've worked in the kitchen. I've literally done every position in a restaurant. It really has shaped me.
Is there anything about yourself that you want to share that nobody knows?
I love ugly things, and a lot of ugly things that I love, a lot of people hate. So I have a car right now. We don't have it in the US, but it's called a Toyota Will. And everything about it is round. Like everything. The whole car is just round. It looks like a bubble. So I call her Bubble Butt. But she's also blue. So those who don't like Bubble Butt call her Blueberry. And she's the ugliest thing my boyfriend has ever seen. And I love her. And I have always been like that. Like weird, quirky, ugly things I love. And it's too much for some people. What about you ladies? What's one thing nobody knows?
During the pandemic, she was the only person in the house who wore full makeup every day and a nice outfit. The rest of us are wearing like the same 3 pairs of pants and just washing it over. We didn't care what we looked like. She had to be groomed every day. And we laughed at her every day. She's like, I have to feel good about myself. Because then she'll present the work better and she'll be able to do better things. Something about myself nobody knows. In my 60s, which I am now, I want at some point to be a stand-up comedian. I want to try it once and she'll be my tour manager.
I can't wait. Tell me what the tour dates are.